So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Lydia Catherine. I'm the owner operator here at Beat Your Anxiety. And this week I want to talk about this thing we call perfectionism, right? You know, often I find, I hear people say things like, well, I'll do this when I'm this, I'll be able to feel confident when I lose that weight, or I'll be able to feel um, confidence when I'm actually able to do the thing. And let's talk about where does perfection actually come from, right? Like where does this come from? Because and what is a perfectionist? I think this is an even more interesting question is how do you know if you are a perfectionist? And well, often here's what's interesting about perfectionism is that it requires us to browbeat ourselves and to make ourselves feel like we're not good enough, right? There's a lot of self-criticism involved here. And what's even more interesting and what I noticed in myself was that even when I was trying to be perfect, I never actually it never actually turned out to be perfect. That every time I tried to strive to make things perfect, whether it was a project, whether it was an email, whether it was a talk, whether it was some uh, some other project I was working on, or, even just like being around people, right? Like, am I perfect enough around that person? Am I perfect enough around my girlfriend or my boyfriend or my husband or my spouse or my friends? Or am I perfect enough for this group of people at this party? Or am I good enough to speak in front of a crowd and share my thoughts? And here's the interesting thing is in your strive to be perfect, would you actually ever label what you do and your work as perfect? Right? Like, in your strive to be perfect, are you perfect? Is really what the question becomes. And after asking myself this question, what I realize is like, actually, in my as I'm striving to be perfect, nothing I have done I would ever even consider perfect. And can you see why this is a trap and why this doesn't work in the long run? This vicious cycle of striving to make things perfect, whether it's you, whether it's a project you're doing, whether it's a video you're recording, or a song you're recording, or a talk that you're doing, or an email or a text that you're sending. That this hamster wheel of, okay, let me make this perfect, and then let me do the thing, and then we come back and then we criticize ourselves. And this is exactly the cycle every time. And what perfectionism implies, in fact, perfectionism comes from a shame or guilt based paradigm. So this act of trying to be perfect for someone else, for yourself, for your parents, for your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your husband or your wife, trying to be perfect in front of a group of people. This trying to be perfect comes from a deep seating feeling like we're not good enough, and it comes from shame. So perhaps at some point, we were shamed as children, right? You got that B on that test, and mom or dad said, well, it's not an A. Or maybe you scored in that game, that whatever sport maybe you played as a kid, you scored in the game, and well, you didn't score the whole time. You didn't score any other time. Or well, it's okay, you know, all of the other games, you didn't score in all the other games, but okay. And this is something that's passed down from our own caretakers. And then we wind up holding on to their guilt and shame. And then we start to take on the habit of guilting and shaming ourselves. And this is the root cause, the root core of where perfectionism comes from. Is from this I need to work to be enough. I need to work and earn love. I need to work to um, earn appreciation, or to be seen, or to be heard, or to be valued. You see? And what's worse about this cycle is that it begins to turn into an addiction. This cycle begins to turn into an addiction because nobody out there can validate the deepest part of ourselves, the deepest part of ourselves that wants to be seen, that wants to be heard. Only we can validate that part of ourselves, which is why this turns into an addiction, because we try and get that that doggy treat, so to speak. We try to get that treat, that reward from somebody who's not us. And we cannot control other people. And can you see why the system is very dysfunctional and not stable at all? Because if you're relying on someone else for that treat or that reward, in this case, to be seen or to be heard or to be appreciated, then you might not get it. And because we may be getting um, rewards sometimes, the subconscious now is like, okay, well, sometimes I may get a reward and sometimes I don't. And it's this constant strive to get that reward. Am I going to get it this time? Am I going to get it this time? Am I going to get it this time? And it's just constantly it's your subconscious trying to constantly strive to get that reward, when it's only you who can validate this part of yourself. So can you see why this system does not work? If you're one of these people who says things like, well, I'll do that thing when I'm blank enough, this is more than likely a cover up for this insecurity, this shame. Now, what's good to know is, because this is all coming from you, it means you can also change it. So what is the way out of this, right? What's the cure, right? Often people try to do like positive self-talk, right? Positive affirmations. And what I find with that, and even with clients in my office, is that they don't believe themselves. They don't believe themselves when they try to give themselves like, I'm awesome, I'm good enough, I'm enough for myself. Like it begins to feel like we're just lying to ourselves. So often this route does not work. So here's the real cure for this. If you find you're stuck on this hamster wheel of, I'm not going to do something until it's perfect enough, or I'm perfect enough, until I'm here, until I have this happen, until I'm starting getting validation from this person. I'll be enough when I finally see this thing change in my environment outside of me. When I get that call from that person, when I get that text, I'll be good enough. The way out of this is not to counter it with positive self-talk. And oftentimes we find ourselves saying things, but well, I should have done, I could have done, I should have come, I should have done, I could have done, right? This also implies guilt and shame. This will also create guilt and shame when you're saying, well, I could have done that, I should have done that. right? And this is often what perfectionists say. Well, I could have done that and I should have done that. Okay, well, great. And now what? Can you go back in time? Again, another um, another way we keep ourselves trapped in the cycle. So here's what you can do to get out of this completely altogether. Here's how to completely just break this habit altogether. And it's not positive self-talk. Um, it's not. Um, I mean, you can counter your thoughts, right? But if you're not doing it, if it's not working for you, then you're probably not doing it in an effective way where it actually has a positive effect on your nervous system. So, where this really comes down to, where perfectionism really comes from, is an ability to accept yourself. It's an inability to accept who you think you are. Because think about it, if you did accept who you are, there would be no need to use phrases like, well, I'll do that when I'm blank enough, when I have enough money, when I have that marriage, when I have that house, when I have kids, I'll be good enough. When I have that husband, or I have that wife or that girlfriend, or that boyfriend, I'll be good enough. When I lose that weight, I'll be good enough. That's when I'll do that. That's when I'll go outside. That's when I'll put myself out there. And that time never comes. That time never comes. Because even when that time comes, even when you finally have that thing, you will find something else you don't have. Or you'll find some other flaw. Because here's the habit here is I'm looking for flaws. I'm analyzing myself to find all of the reasons why I'm not enough. And here is the installation. Here is the programming, the self-programming and others' programming of guilt and shame inside of you. So what's the cure for this? Right? If this is coming from this habit of you constantly analyzing yourself to find flaws, because here's the thing, you're always going to find flaws. You're always going to find things that aren't perfect. They're always going to be there. They're always going to be there. So then what do? Is you just stop the analyzing altogether. You just stop the habit of analyzing and looking for reasons why you're not enough altogether. And here's what happens when you do. When you stop the cycle of installing shame into yourself, what that does is it frees you up to do that thing, to go out to that bar or restaurant to meet people and talk to people, to go out on a date, to go walk on the beach in a swimsuit, to call or text that person that perhaps you may feel deep down like not good enough for, to go finally create that better health for yourself. When you stop the activity altogether that's going on up here, you stop the activity altogether. It's not about countering it with positive self-talk. It's not about standing in the mirror and telling yourself, I'm good enough and I've got this. No, that's all bullshit. And it doesn't work for most people. So the way out of this, and this is what I teach to my clients, is to stop the activity altogether. Stop the activity, stop the analyzing, stop the searching and scanning your body for things that are not right. and then sitting there and doing the judging. Because this is the cycle. This is the cycle. This is it. So here's what you do. Anytime you catch yourself analyzing and judging yourself and or others, because judging others and analyzing others for their flaws is not going to make you perfect either. Nothing's going to make you perfect. Has in all of your years of trying to make things perfect, has anything ever actually been perfect for you? No, right? I mean, this was a habit I struggled with for a long time. But when you stop the activity altogether that's going on up here, and literally you can put anything else there instead. It could literally be just you focusing on your breath or just focusing on what's in front of you. This is what I give to my clients. Just focus on what's in front of you, the wall. I'm looking at a wall. I'm looking at a computer. That is success. Anything that is not this guilting and shaming of ourselves or analyzing for flaws, anything that is not that is success, right? Because it's not that now. And it can literally be anything. You can pull out a book and read, and now you're not doing that thing. Again, you can focus on taking a deep breath in. You can, like I said, just look at what's in front of you. Or visualize something in your mind. You can change what's going on up here as well. People have a harder time with this, which is why it's easier to shift your focus to something else. Or just notice you're doing it all together. And then when you step outside of the activity altogether and notice you're doing it, it will stop on its own. And this is the root core for all perfectionism. This will resolve all of it. There's nothing you need to change about yourself. There's nothing you need to change about who you are. Simply stop the activity of trying to find things wrong or not right or that you don't like about yourself. Now, we're not talking about throwing away our goals here. We're not talking about abandoning our goals. We're talking about just stop the activity of berating and browbeating yourself and making yourself wrong for the way you look or for your personality or the way you laugh or the way you eat or the way you walk or the way you sit or the way you say hi or the way you talk on the phone and the way you send texts. When you stop making yourself wrong for all of it. And here's what's happening now is when we stop this activity, now there's an acceptance now happening, self-acceptance. This is what will eliminate this need to be perfect, this hamster wheel of perfectionism. So that's it. This is I'm done here for this week. Comment on this video below. I want to know what resonated with you from today. I think this is something 99% of people struggle with. And then we go into trying fixing ourselves and making ourselves perfect and making ourselves prettier or smarter or funnier and adjusting ourselves in weird, inauthentic ways that comes off, and people can pick up on that when you're trying too hard. But when you just lean back into self-acceptance, and you do that by just eliminating this analyzing and this judging, you just step outside of that, because guilt and shame have no place in your life at all. They serve no purpose. Guilt and shame serve no purpose at all. Kick it out of your life. Just kick it out. So that's it. Again, this is Lydia here from Beat Your Anxiety. I hope this is helpful for you. All of these videos are going up to my website, so going up to my blog. And at that website, you can check out more. You can find out more tools, more techniques, more information about me, more information about hypnosis. If you're looking for help with, social anxieties or self-esteem or you want to feel better about yourself, or you want to feel better about how you see yourself when you look in the mirror, your self-image, right? Or maybe you want to change your self-image. but coming from a place of I accept who I am already and I get to improve myself. Okay, everybody, have a great rest of your week. Website I'll put down below. Buildyourselfinside.com is where you'll find my blog, where you'll find these videos and replays and much more. So this is Lydia from Beat Your Anxiety and BuildYourselfInside.com, and I'll talk to you all next week.